I'm not aware of too many people who like to be criticised or judged by others. In fact, I'd like to say or suggest that it's not part of our current value system in New Zealand to accept criticism and evaluation from others, no matter who they think they are. Criticism to us is kind of like an emotionally transmitted disease that we would rather avoid at all costs. But I think we can sometimes miss the boat about the importance of people giving healthy criticism and evaluation to us. Certainly the person who is emotionally bombing us and dumping their toxicity on us, that shouldn't be tolerated. And at times people can be abusive when they are full of anger and selfish intentions and dump their stuff on us. And this can happen even from the closest of friends. This is not what I am talking about. I'm talking about the person who may or may not like you, but who turns around and points out an attitude or behaviour that is simply not okay to do. Those people who find an issue with us or a fault in us that we really do need to address because it's not okay to be like that. Of course, there will always be those who love to help and show that they have the best intentions for us, those who will go out of their way saying how much they care and they love us and want the best for us, but who in reality attack and assault our emotional senses. Such people cannot be helped. And eventually, sometimes you just got to wave the white flag of surrender and retreat from their toxic friendship and toxic behaviour. That can happen. But my reflection today is more about the willingness to allow others to criticise or evaluate us, because if people don't, how will we ever learn to be all we can be? If we are selfish, deceptive, manipulative, angry, bitter, frustrated, and mean at times, how will we know if we don't listen to those gutsy enough to tell us? And what is so wrong with being told that we have an issue in our lives that we need to deal with? Jesus had an interesting way of finishing some of his sayings. He would say, "He who has ears, let him hear." We might say today, those who want to grow up and become mature need to hear what challenges them. The author of the book of Hebrews in chapter 12 verse 15 says this: "See to it that no one falls short of the glory of God, and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many." The idea of a bitter root was that of a poisonous plant. To the ancient folk, an indication that you'd been poisoned or eaten something that was dangerous or toxic to your system was the intense bitter flavour and the terrible taste left in your mouth after you'd eaten it. This is the nature of bad teaching and bad thinking and bad attitudes and bad words which we dump on our families, our fellowships and the society we live in. Take an incident that happened to me yesterday. I was getting meat from the supermarket, and as I was choosing what pack I wanted to grab, this older gentleman walks up beside me and says, "Do you need to take the whole area up by you and your trolley?" Now, he was right. I had overextended the area I needed to take. But his face and his words were filled with anger and aggression. I apologised and allowed him to grab what he wanted. His criticism was right, but his attitude was simply wrong at the same moment. My encounter with him left a bitter flavour to the moment that I was in. How often do we behave in such a way that is toxic to those who are around us? How often do we resist listening to criticism and the judgment of others so we can take the moment and grow and develop and become all we can be? I don't want to be a bitter root that harms people and poisons my family, my friends, my fellowship and the society that I live in. I want to be something that adds value, something that adds improvements. It takes courage to hear what others say, to evaluate its value, and then to make the growth changes necessary not to be this bitter root. But if we don't, I think it is right and fair for people to walk away and avoid the poison we bring to the world we live in. Yes, I have to be true to myself. I do. But does that mean I have to drop emotional bombs on the world I live in simply because I'm a toxic, mean person? Surely, if I'm challenged and given the opportunity to change, that should be the choice I make. To choose to change, to choose to become more. Well, this is my challenge to myself. Will you take up the challenge and allow people to challenge your thinking, your attitudes, your words and actions? Then, instead of toxifying the world we live in, we might actually bring life to those who are around us. And I think that would make a better world, better families, and better fellowships. Thank you. Have a great weekend.